Simon's about to bring out his favourite tool for wedding filmmaking.
Yes, we're going to be talking about my favourite tool as a wedding filmmaker. And it's something that...
It's not something you'd expect, I don't think.
It is not something that you're going to expect because I don't see many filmmakers using one of these. And I've always got it at weddings and people always ask me about it. Some people know what it is when they see it. Other people are like, what does that do?
What's that?
So
and what are you doing with
camera
it?
bar.
Quite often it gets comments from the photographer as well. It's like, I'm intrigued to see what you're getting with that.
Yes. Oh, it's in the complete wrong compartment of my bag. However,
But you found it straight away.
I found it straight away. So this is a prism. Now, photographers out there will probably be like, that's it? That's the cool thing that you brought out of your bag to show me? Jesus. Well, not many people use these. And I know they had their time in the sun maybe 3-4 years ago. They were everywhere. In fact, I'm pretty sure Sam Hurd used to sell these. Does he still sell them?
I don't know if he does anymore, but he definitely did sell them for a while, yeah.
He definitely did sell them. And you know what? I would freaking like to sell them because more filmmakers need to use them because they're great fun. Now,
Fun.
fun. Yes. I'm gonna bring out my camera. So just brush it and giggles.
Photographers often say they're intrigued to see what you're getting with that. So what are you getting when you're using the prism, and why do you use it?
Well,
because I don't use the prism.
That's because you're not skilled
much at all.
You're not as skilled as me. I mean, anyway. to be fair, we've all got our little ways of shooting, but I love using this because, again, not many filmmakers use it. It's quite hard to use as a filmmaker because there's a lot of moving parts to it, and there's a little bit of a knowledge floor that you need to get to. However, when I'm at a prep, like the bride prep, I always get asked about this from one of the bridesmaids, and they always ask what it does, and I always describe it as my little tool for making films look unusual, like alternative, to confuse people, but also my Photoshop. Because video people don't have Photoshop and we can't very easily remove things. Now, of course, that would be different. You know, you do have the content aware fill and other things, but that is time, and time is money. And we shoot weddings and there's a big queue, and for our client's sake, I mean, that's all well and good for a big paying corporate job, but for weddings, not really my thing. So I will show you a couple of clips that I get from weddings.
So you said you're using it to be like a Photoshop. So how are you using it to be like Photoshop? What are you doing that means you're calling it Photoshop?
Yeah. Oh, there's you, Greg.
I can see you.
Hello. So basically, I'm just holding up my camera and placing my thumb on the lens to stabilize it, and then just kind of bending light around, and essentially, like if there was something on the left, I would just go, I don't like you, boop, put it there, and then just move the filter, move the prism until I got rid of whatever I didn't want. Now, all fun and games, if I'm shooting next to a photographer and I try doing that, sometimes I'll reflect the photographer's image right in the shot, which can be fun. Yeah, hang on, I just want to try something.
You're going to try it on that lens.
So Greg, unfortunately, wide lens and also corners. You know, you can do all sorts of like, oh, there he is, he's gone. What's happening? Oh my god! See how you can almost see him there?
He said, "See how you can always see him there." You're off mic, remember? You've got rid of the TV there. Oh, that's how you got rid of the yellow TV.
Oh yeah. Whoa. Shit, the chair's broken. But using that technique, you can put bridesmaids in a shot. You can put band members next to each other and have one kind of be all ghosty. You can
have the couple in different parts of a room and
Yes.
suddenly bring them together in the frame.
Yeah.
Maybe the one being reflected looks a bit distorted. So it's adding to that confusion element that you talked about.
Yeah. Back in the early days when we used to, back in our earlier career when we were going to a lot of workshops, I learnt that confusing your viewer is actually something you'd want to do. And by confusing, I mean you want to be kind of as abstract as possible. For example, shooting silhouettes, reflections, using smoke, using
Stuff that will make them stop and think, wait, what just... Oh, like, as the clip plays and then it's past, they're going, what? That looked a bit different. Like, what?
Yeah.
What was that there?
Yeah.
Like, they know what they saw, as in, like, I could see the bride and groom or I could see the couple, but there was maybe something making it a bit different. They're like, what was that? Can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. So obviously I mentioned, you know, putting people in or taking them out with putting them to the left and right. And this is great for like dancing as well, like having the light bend around people and creating rainbows and bending the light around from the band. It looks great. It looks crazy. Another thing I love to do is even in nature, when we're out doing elopements, you can still use these. You're a little bit more subtle, but you know, I love to put people in the middle of a mountain together, and you know, I can use the prism at the bottom end to just like make a double of them or reflect the top of the mountain back to create a bowl. You're
almost sort of using it as like a double exposure in camera type effect, to some extent.
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, you need to be aware if you're going to be shooting certain elements of a wedding, you do not want to be using a prism, because if you miss, like, there's a skill level that I mentioned. If you miss a moment just because you're faffing around with a prism, you're using it in the wrong way. This is purely for those kind of shots which are, you know, in the preps where nothing, people are getting ready, or you know, things like this. Ideal.
Yeah.
Couple shoot, great. Dancing, great. But
so
ceremony, no. Speeches, we would never do that.
Yeah. So I tend to not use it as much, if at all, on a wedding, because that sort of the skill of being able to do it, I'm just not that good at it. I've not practiced enough. I'll sometimes have too much of a shake going on.
The shake is a problem.
So what's some of your practical techniques to actually using it on a shoot, and how are you holding it?
Yeah.
How are you getting the best out of it practically?
Practically, when I'm shooting with the camera, so the first step, and this is probably going to depend on what kind of filmmaker you are, but I am shooting in 50p handheld to try and get out those micro jitters. You have IBIS, and I use the neck strap. I try and keep as minimal as possible. However, you do not have an IBIS with your hand.
Yeah, the IBIS will stabilize the camera, but your other hand's not.
So you'll notice that this prism has a handle that you can actually screw on and off. That's because we actually bought this prism as a batch, so there's like balls and stuff that you can do. I've never tried the Crystal Maze type ball, but maybe I'll give it a go in the next wedding. Who knows? I did see a wedding where they used that for an exterior shot of a mountain, and I thought, whoa, that's unusual.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, kind of with a camera, you know, to stabilize the camera, you want to be, you know, arms tight in. I'm talking about photography right now. Arms tight in, holding the camera as kind of close to your body, and ideally, if you can get a third point of contact, you're putting the camera to your face.
Yeah.
all techniques that photographers use to stabilize your camera. The way for video, for me, is bless you, Greg. Is I'm pulling on this neck strap, pulling on it to kind of keep it tight. And as long as it's tight, it's not gonna have those micro jitters. It's kind of a fake weight added to it with the applied pressure, the applied force. And so now that that's tight, I will hold my prism with my fingers like that, and essentially thumb on the lens, that's one point of contact, and a portion of the glass touching the filter, and essentially I am just, moving backwards and forth and just trying to get a shot. Sometimes I'm doing all sorts of things, like if I want to transition, I'll move the prism straight across the lens. It won't always work. I'll give it a couple of goes, but it looks interesting, and the result is not your average wedding film when it comes to it. So
yeah, it definitely has that confuse people element.
Yeah,
and there's the other benefits of, as you said, getting rid of people. But I remember there was a shoot in St Andrews where you just were panning up or something, and just all of a sudden went, whoa, hold on. And then you spent another couple of seconds just moving it and going, didn't expect that to happen. And there was this cool sort of distorted shot of them.
Yes.
That turned out great, but it was just a happy accident from moving it in a certain way.
Yeah, and actually I use that technique all the time now.
Yeah.
I'll demonstrate it right here at the table since I'm here. But if you're pointing your camera, so my initial thought was I'm pointing the camera at what I want to shoot, and I'm adding in this bend. Well, what happens if the camera's not the primary focus point, right? So I tilted the camera away, and I just put the prism kind of on top in the middle and just tried to reflect the shot, kind of like an old an old SLR would.
Yeah.
You're reflecting that light. Obviously, a prism, not the perfect mirror, so you're getting this kind of imperfect, rainbowed reflection almost of what you're seeing. So, again, for like dance moves, or like couple stuff, sometimes I'll just tilt the camera straight up and use the lens to tilt and stuff. So
yeah. So what lens are you tending to shoot when you're using it? Because we just saw there that it was quite hard to do with that wide angle lens.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, so when I'm shooting a wedding, like throughout the years, I have gone from zoom lenses to having the infinity of choice of what focal length I want, to now I shoot with one lens, one body, and it's the 35 millimeter 1.4. That is the lens I always go to now. Obviously, sometimes I do digitally crop in and manual focus if I really feel the need, but essentially I feel that this is the way I want to see the world, the 35. Obviously, I've got the active stabilization on here, so technically I'm probably punching into about 40 mil, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but I'd say, so you want to be no wider than 35, I'd say, to get the best out of the prism.
Yeah.
And to be the easiest to use as well. It does work really well with tighter lenses, like an 85 or something. I don't use...
You've got to be, again, the 35 is like a good for the handheld.
Yeah.
That 85, like if you're making a mistake with your hands, like that is... Yeah. You need to be super skilled at using the prism to be able to do that handheld.
Yeah. So I don't use the prism, but what I do is at dancing, I'll just find a dirty champagne glass.
Yeah.
And I'll use that old technique of waving that in front of the lens. And I'm usually moving it sort of constant, sort of sway in and out, so that it's sort of causing that confusion at dancing, and people are feeling a wee bit drunk when they're watching it. So it's an easy way to play around with putting some glass in front of your lens. If you're inspired by sort of seeing this technique and how to use the prism, you can even try just slowly implementing it into your films. So when you started to use it quite often, I was always like, just be aware not to use it too much, and just try and like maybe get the shot, but then try it again with the prism. So we we probably started off using it a lot on like a few table details or something for dinner.
Great table, yeah.
And I would be like, just get the shot and then get it again without it, just in case they come back and say, oh, I'm not too sure about that effect that you're doing.
Yeah.
But no one really did say that, so we've kind of got rid of that, and you just go full on with the prism all day.
I mean, yeah.
But it's an easy way of
like,
slowly getting used to using it and trying to implement it into your films is like, if you're not confident on how to use it, give it a go, but then also get the shot safely as well.
Yeah. Look, try the prism. Let me know if it's working for you. I'm super interested because obviously photographers used this a few years ago, but filmmakers, give it a go and let me know how you find it.
And if you've got any questions, comments below, I'll make Simon answer them.
I will answer them. Anyway.
In the meantime,
enjoy your life in prism.